Hey everyone, it's Katie and Mike. Say hi, Mike.
Hi everybody.
This is Driving Home the Movie, and we saw The Shape of Water, which I've been looking forward to for quite a while. It is mostly known as the Del Toro fish monster romance movie, and it was super charming.
Yeah, it was really great.
It was really good. Mike is driving us down a spiral
Yes, I know. I've
parking
tried to focus
garage.
on this, and there's lots of people around. So,
yeah
I'm
clearly I chose the right time to start the video. I'm also trying to adjust how I'm holding the camera. Alright, I think we're good. So yeah, this is Del Toro's like fish monster romance movie, and I had heard really good things about it up until this point. So I was super excited. Sorry, I'm also making sure that Mike's going the right way. I was super excited that we finally got to see it because it's out. It's not out in every. All right, let's hear if we actually. Is there gonna be noise?
Thank you for your business. Please drive safely.
Thank you, automated voice. But yeah, it's only out in certain theaters or certain cities now. But luckily, Chicago's one of them, so we were able to see it this weekend. I'm trying to think how to describe it. So it's set during the Cold War, and the color scheme of this movie is a lot of like really interesting tones, like lots of green, like teal green, and like sea green. There's a lot of like the coloring of it is really interesting. The point of view of in terms of the color themes, which is something Del Toro does like a lot.
Set design was really nice too.
Yeah, the set design was really cool. The costuming was great. It's centered around, again, it's set during the Cold War, and it's about a young woman named Eliza who, I think she's supposed to be in her 30s. They imply that she and her friend at work have known each other for like 10 years, but she's mute and she communicates through sign language, but she can hear other people. Her friend at work also has learned sign language, and her neighbor, who is also like her friend, has learned sign language, and they're kind of like her core people in the movie. And she works as a maid for this underground facility
For the government.
Where she just does a lot of cleaning, but also not just like the bathrooms, but also like the tank areas, where they have different anomalies and different weird things. We never really see what else they ever have like experimented on. It's literally, we only just see the monster when he's brought in. But
so it's a prequel to Hellboy.
It's kind of a prequel to Hellboy. I mean,
no, Doug Jones.
I was going to say Doug Jones is the character. If you've ever seen any of Del Toro's other movies, he's usually like the creature guy in those movies. He's also on Star Trek, the new Star Trek right now. He's playing an alien on it.
That's fun.
Yeah, good for him. So this is a good year to be Doug.
It's a good year for all Doug Joneses.
You say that now. We don't. You're preemptively saying that.
Well, actually, I was pointing out the Dougie Jones.
And Dougie Jones, but then also the one that has the election coming that has not been finalized. Do not tempt fate, my friend. Anyway, so
the Christmas train.
Oh, I don't know if you can see Christmas train. Yay! Anyway, it'll be really fun when I aim that camera and not like directly at the train, so you see like part of the car instead of. So yeah, sorry, I'm moving the camera around a lot because I'm trying to get comfortable.
You could probably move your seat back a little bit more.
I've been trying to move my seat. Here. Sorry, everybody. There we go. Now I can actually hold
we had people in the backseat of the car.
We did, but I tried to move it before I started the camera. I'm sure this is riveting to all of you. Yeah. So anyway, so now that I'm in a slightly more comfortable position in the car, and I can hold the camera up easily, so she kind of instantly has a connection with the creature, and she starts bringing him food, and they have a bond, but he's a military guy, I think. Maybe, I forget exactly what they said his rank was. I'm looking here.
I think the general was Army.
Strickland, though. But yeah, so I guess Army. He was like an Army guy. But he's played by Michael Shannon, who most people know as Zod, and also like a lot of other evil guys. And he was the one who found the creature in South America, and he thinks that the creature is like a sin against God, and that man is the best thing ever. He's also particularly he's very pro white men, because he is really, really awful to Eliza's friend Zelda, who's played by Octavia Spencer. So yeah, he's just kind of the worst. Like, you are actively hating this man every time he's on screen. But to be fair, Michael Shannon does a really good job at that character.
Yeah.
It's like, because he's just kind of the worst.
He can hit villainous very well.
Yeah, so it becomes one of those things where this like horrible government man wants to kill the creature and just dissect him, because he feels like that will bring them more than trying to study him as a living creature. But someone on the inside helps Eliza escape with the monster or with the creature, and it's largely about their relationship and them connecting as two people, or two beings that can't speak human language, and them learning to speak through each other's movements. I don't want to give away too much more, because I feel like a lot of that has already been said. I'll just say this: I think that it's so well worth a watch. I would say, in terms of appropriateness for younger viewers, it is not. There's quite a bit of nudity sprinkled throughout the movie, including in the very first scene. One of the things I really like about this is that a lot of times, for people with some kind of physical disability, especially when they're women, they often get like desexualized. They don't get seen as full people. A lot of times, or that like someone else has to like teach them to be sexual. And in this, Eliza is very much a sexual being. The very moment we meet her, like the very first scene, we see that she has a very good grasp of her own sexuality, and I really appreciated that, because then it doesn't mean that like the beast awoke something in her. She's always had that sense of self. There's also, guess what? You get to see way more of Michael Shannon than you ever want to, unless you really are into Michael Shannon. So, heads up on that. But anyway, yeah.
Are you talking about how his fingers get removed?
Oh yeah, there is a part, and that's pretty early. But, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something else. And then there's it's a very intense movie as well. And like, there's some, I don't want to call it body horror, but there's a decent amount of like... Yeah,
there's a decent amount of, blood
and stuff, and
gutsy, gunk, and people get shot, and it looks pretty painful.
An animal does die, so like, heads up if that's something that you really can't stand in a movie. So like, just fair warning that does happen.
One animal death.
Yeah, one animal death. But so what I really like about this movie is that there's a real sense of the tone is really good. I think we talked about the set design, but that completely, how should I put it? It completely makes the movie. So much in the movie is in the set design and the sound design and the music that they chose, because it's a lot of like old movies.
They do a lot of old movie and old TV show, and old like
songs
media
and
stuff.
like standards, like those standards of like the 20th century. And I just was really impressed by how, I think other people have said it, like it does read kind of like a fairy tale in some parts of it. It's very dreamy. I mean, the very first, it's not even really the first scene, but like the opening credit sequence is very dreamlike. And there are a few scenes that really lean into that and lean into the like fantasy element of it, where it's not something that's actually happening.
The bathroom scene.
No, the bathroom scene definitely happened.
But I mean like,
where you but there is a suspension of disbelief.
Yes, there's a suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, there is. There's a whole scene in the bathroom where you're like, I don't think this is how that happens, but okay, you kind of lean into it. Obviously, this is a movie about this like creature of the lagoon, so you kind of have to take everything with a grain of salt. I really appreciated. Let me get the cast list out, because
it's kind of a windmills do not work that way moment.
Yeah, a little bit. You just have to you have to lean into it. So Sally Hawkins again plays Eliza, and she's mute throughout it, and the amount of she's so expressive in this role, and everybody else who interacts with her does such a good job. So like kudos to like the entire cast and everybody who's like.
Oh, Ferris wheel's up.
Anyway, sorry, Mike's just looking at random things in the distance, including the Ferris wheel. That's the zoo Ferris wheel, where it's not really a Ferris wheel, right?
No, it's a real Ferris wheel. It's zoo lights.
Can people actually ride in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's zoo lights.
Okay.
See, look at it. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sally Hawkins was really incredible. She was very... pay attention to our review. And driving in the review. Those are the two things you get to focus on in the next
we've got traffic.
Well, whatever. So Sally Hawkins is.
Thanks, zoo lights.
Stop it. Sally Hawkins is really good in this movie. I also, again, Michael Shannon does a like really intense villain. He knows exactly what role he's in. I want to give the hugest shout out to Richard Jenkins, who played her neighbor Giles. Just as like he has a great voice, and he's the one who kind of narrates at the beginning. But he also just like his presence is really a key part to why I enjoyed this movie a lot. He also is playing a gay man. And one of the things I really liked about this movie is that you have all these people who have been seen as less than ideal by society, where we have a woman who has a disability, we have a black woman, and then we have a gay man. And those three, and them being allies with each other to help save this creature that is seen as far less than human. Yeah. I thought that was a really smart way to explore some of these things, especially because the antagonist is a man who sees himself as, he talks early on about God and what God actually would look like, and it's like, well, human.
More like me.
Human, like me. Maybe like you too, but really more like me. Again, they make it very clear you're not supposed to like him. So I really enjoyed Richard Jenkins' performance. I ended up pulling up his past works on IMDb after we got out of the movie, and the one thing I recognized him from was he plays one of the guys at the desk for Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he plays the one that's not what's his face. Octavia Spencer is really good. I think it's a role that is very much in her wheelhouse in terms of her other work, but I also I'm really excited to see her in a Del Toro movie. I would love to see them working with each other again. And again, there's something really sweet about the relationship that her character has with the main character that I found just really charming. I would also say Michael Stuhlbarg plays the doctor that becomes a somewhat ally to them, it was really nice to just see some really good actors performing the heck out of their roles, even when they were like side roles. And then also, like, Doug Jones is pretty incredible in this movie. I mean, it would be so easy to just see a guy in a suit, you know?
Yeah, and also you got to give the props to the props department.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the costume design for the monster is so good. It's really good. And if you've seen any of the trailers or even the poster, you'll kind of see. But it is one of those things that's really enjoyable, just to see how convincing they made like this creature. I'm trying to think if there's anything I want to say before we get into kind of like more spoilery things. I just think you should definitely go see it. I don't have a lot to say about it. I knew going into it, I was pretty sure I was going to really love it, and then we ended up loving it. So that's all I can say. Definitely go see this movie as soon as it's in your city. You got anything else to say before we do a little spoiler action?
No, it's a really good movie. Go see it.
All right, so spoilers. So there isn't a lot to spoil in this movie. By the way, it's the cat. One of the cats dies. So in case you were...
Animal death.
Animal death. No, I mean, like, I know people who do not want to see a pet die.
And fair enough to them.
And to be fair, that was a pretty shocking moment.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, I was really worried that this meant that the neighbor would judge him for it. And instead he's like, I mean, I get it, you know, he doesn't know.
That's my house cat.
Yeah, that's my house cat. And then the creature's way nicer to his other cats. He's like, no, just don't touch my cats. It's okay. It's fine. I'm not mad. I just don't touch the other cats. Yeah, as soon as I heard the cat like, ah! I went, oh no. Uh-oh. So I think I will talk about just like a couple things that I wonder if when they, I really wonder if there were some scenes cut out or some things, because there are a couple of, there's at least one I can think of where it feels like they're setting up and the camera is setting it up where it wants you to pay attention, you know? And it doesn't feel like there's a real payoff to it. So there's a part where the beginning of the movie has Eliza giving the creature eggs, like hard-boiled eggs. And that was the food that he was, you know, that they would share together. And when she goes in one day, though, and he's been tortured, and she runs up to him, and one of the eggs falls. And then the bad guy, who's played the Michael Shannon character, walks in, and she runs to hide, but he does see the hard-boiled egg, and he's like, and he knows something's amiss. But she ends up eventually getting out okay, and then besides him interrogating them after they get the creature out a little while later, he doesn't really suspect them or, you know, specifically like our main character of doing anything, even though the egg was there. And it just is weird to me. I don't know. It just
that we were expecting him to put 2 and 2 together and get 4, but instead he's just like at -3.
Yeah, he completely. I don't know if it was just that. I honestly don't know if it was one of those things where it was a little bit clearer that him finding the egg meant that he was going to interrogate them later. You know what I mean? Because I think that there's some payoff in terms of him interrogating them and then going like, why am I talking to you people? I don't know why I thought that this was, you guys are nothing. You watch the shit. That's all you do.
Why am I talking to the wives?
Yeah, exactly. So, and then also like every time, this has nothing to do with my concerns, but I do think it's funny that like almost every scene he's in is him like posturing, like him trying to like show his like doing a power move basically.
Yeah,
including peeing without his hands. Yeah,
and then not washing his hands afterwards.
See, he doesn't have to because he didn't touch his crotch. There was also a scene that I feel like maybe could have been cut out where he suggests he basically like half comes on to her and half suggests that he could like take her whenever he wanted to.
Yeah, and there was really nothing like after a while it just goes away.
Yeah, it just feels like we needed to show this guy was bad. And don't get me wrong, there is a bit of a connection to the fact that we see him with his wife, where his wife is very like proud of him after like this new job. Not that she knows anything about what he's doing, and she basically in the middle of the day when he comes home is like, come on honey, like she takes out her boob and just puts his hand.
We'll get a Cadillac.
Yeah, we'll get a Cadillac. My boob represents the Cadillac. And then the next thing you see is Michael Shannon's ass thrusting into the wife, which I was like, oh, this feels just awkward. And it's sad because we only get to see, there is kind of a fade away when Eliza and the fish creature have sex. They do have sex. They make that pretty overtly clear. But the problem is that you don't actually see it beyond like caressing,
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I had to see Michael Shannon's ass
thrusting,
and him literally putting his hand over his wife's mouth and telling her to be quiet. Even though his hand,
then immediately we cut after this scene, we then cut to the main character too. Like he tells her to be quiet, and then all of a sudden
it cuts to that.
Right to
and
her.
You also hear like weird noises in the place where she works, because it's this like science lab. You hear like the same rhythm of the thrusting. So we never. And then there's a whole side thing of the bad guy gets his fingers bit off by the creature off screen, but they get it reattached. This is like fairly early on. It's in Act 1. And he keeps talking about how they're going to have to, like, he's able to move it, but they're going to have to see if they will hold, And they keep getting worse throughout it. So during the sex scene, this was still fairly early on, but during the sex scene, his wife says, like, honey, your fingers are bleeding. Honey, I think we should stop. Your fingers are bleeding. And instead of, doing the rational thing and stopping because his fingers, which were just reattached, are bleeding.
He just uses his bloody hand.
He uses a bloody hand to put over his wife's mouth to get her to shut up during sex. Like, that poor woman has half dead fingers on her face with blood and
And they definitely go rotten because they pointed out by Act 3.
Oh god. And then and then when he uses like finally pulling his fingers off for emphasis of how he is going to destroy Octavia Spencer's character's life, it's just like, you saw me, I turned away because I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that. Nope. Yeah, he was a very effective villain because he's just awful. It's funny, in that opening moment of the movie when you see this very surreal, like, the camera's going through the hallway of the main character, but it's all underwater, which you realize, again, is just like a dream-like opening. But the neighbor is doing this narration about what he would say about the story, and one of the things he says is, like, you know, the two, you know, love and loss, and the monster that damn it, I forget how it went, but, like, the monster that almost ruined everything. Mm-hmm. But the monster, when he says the monster, yeah, just, honey, we can park in the lot, it's fine. But when he mentions, like, the monster that ruined everything, it's when Michael Shannon's name pops up. So I'm like, oh, you're not subtle, movie. You timed that out quite well. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about it. I honestly, like, and here's the thing, even though we don't get to have a full sex scene with the monster, or with the creature, I keep saying monster, and I don't think that's very fair to that character, but with the creature, you do get to see, like, some very sexy moments between the two of them, and again, it's made, like, overtly clear that they definitely did stuff, to the point where Octavia Spencer figures out because her friend is smiling too much, and she's like, really?
And then she goes ahead and describes how it works.
Yeah, well, she's like, how does that even work? Is there even something down there? And then her friend explains with her hands how, like, it just kind of moves it's like a cock piece down there, and it just moves out of place, and then it was a pretty funny moment, I'm not gonna lie. And again, I think it works specifically because these two actresses have a really good chemistry with one another, so you absolutely believe that they've known each other for 10 years, you know? Anywho, I'm trying to think, is there anything else you can think of that you wanted to talk about with the movie?
Russians, you can talk about the Russians.
Oh, yeah, the Russians. So,
I haven't mentioned them yet.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they brought in Russians. Basically, their ally, that's one of the doctors, is actually secretly a Russian, and he basically has been informing to some of his comrades that are in the area. But he says to them, you know, here's this creature. The whole point, too, is that the creature can breathe on land or in the water, and also can survive for at least a time on land, even though I think it needs... I think that they make it pretty clear that it needs...
water.
It needs water. It needs to be back in the water at some point, you know. But the whole idea is that this will help the astronauts as they're trying to do the space race. This will help. They can study the creature and maybe come up with ways that we can more easily survive in space. And so when the doctor goes to his to the people that are, you know, his comrades, he says, like, and he's sentient, like, he listens to, like, I've seen him communicate with someone, and he listens to music, like, he is sentient. That's important. But the Russians don't really seem to care either. They want the creature, but they are totally okay with them killing the creature before he can be dissected. And so the doctor, who is all about science, and yeah, he worked for his country, but also to learn, and this doesn't feel like learning, this feels like destroying knowledge, you know? So he ends up helping Eliza to get the creature out, but that ends up not being super great for him down the line. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but yeah, I thought that his performance was really good. everybody's in it, like, is seriously, like, really well done. They know the kind of movie they're in. It has a real presence. Like, the whole film is just super enjoyable for what it does, you know? And there's some real sweetness to the relationship between the creature and our main character. There's also, I'll say this much, and I might end up ending with this unless there's something you really want to say. There is a part that reminded me a little bit of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend in terms of...
That car didn't even stay here. Thank you.
Mike, our viewers will be confused by...
I know, but I'm upset that car just pulled in here into this parking spot and just left it.
Well, now we have it. We just drove around for a little while, which was fine. So there's a part, though, around, like, the day before she's going to let him go because they were waiting for the rain to fill up the canal. But she's sitting there and she's watching him eat, and she starts to try to sing along with the song that they're listening to, and she can kind of barely happens. But then they go into this whole dream sequence where she's in a full ball gown and she's dancing with the creature, and it felt it felt a little out of place.
Nah, they just went there and went for it. Screw it. Go for it.
Okay, fine. But it is very much
It's fun.
a non-diegetic moment for sure. And yeah, like I said, I would absolutely be up for watching it again.
It's there for the visual.
Yeah.
Entirely for the visual of that scene.
Yeah. Which
I could definitely see being gift a lot.
Yeah, probably. I just liked it a lot. Mike, I know that I've been the one kind of hogging the camera this time because you were focusing on the road, but what else did you have? Did you have anything else to say about the movie?
The movie is exactly what it is. And, you, like, could you ask more of it? Yes, you could. But, you know, it's amazing that they actually got a film like this on the screen.
Yeah.
And it did what it did. It is what it is. And it's got huge, great production values. You know?
Yeah.
Everything on the set looks amazing.
I'm also just really pleased. I'm all for Del Toro doing more romances. I'm all for Del Toro doing these, like, character-focused, relationship-focused pieces with his own, like, kind of eerie monster tones. But I'm really excited for him that he's going out there and doing these movies. I am one of those people who really liked Crimson Peak, so I am all for him doing more romances. I honestly think that this is well worth your time, if only because it is so gorgeous and it's so charming. So that's what I got. You got anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so I don't know what we're seeing. Oh, I know what we're seeing next week. We're definitely seeing Star Wars next week. I'm gonna cry so much.
We're probably seeing Star Wars more than once next week.
Yeah, but you'll be seeing us. You guys will be seeing us for Star Wars. So, Katie and Mike.
Hi, everybody.
JustPlaySomething.com. We'll see you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.